Yeah. So you see, portrait of the artist as a young man. If we talk, the author is James Joyce, and you find James Joyce is portrait of the artist as a young man. You find is largely an autobiographical, um, you know, Stephen's life, which corresponds into most details to Joyce's, and we find Stephen. He was born in Dublin to Mary and prolific. And you find um, so he was born in Dublin. Stephen was like Stephen. He was born in Dublin to Mary and um,
Simon.
yes, yes, and devout Catholic mother, the eldest of the 10 surviving children, and like his fictional counterpart, you find he attended the Woods College and the University College of Dublin, and during college, you find Joyce began to publish literary reviews and poems and plays. And after graduating in 1902, he briefly studied medicine in Paris, and he returned to um, um, to Dublin some months later to attend, his mother's funeral. So you find at this time he tried, unsuccessfully to publish shorter earlier um, and Stephen here hero. So you find in 1904 he met Nora, who is married and who served, as an inspiration and a model for many aspects of Joyce's fiction. So you find the couple, spent many years wandering around, Europe in near poverty, settling eventually in Zurich and Paris. And you find portrait, um, the the portrait, takes place during one of the most turbulent and eventful periods of the Irish history. So, a significant issue during this period you find was Irish nationalism and separatism, and since the Norman invasion in the 12th century, you find large parts of Ireland had been held under British rule, and in 1801, you find Ireland become a part of the United Kingdom. So throughout the 19th century, you find, and especially after the great potato famines of the 1840s, many Irish people, felt growing dissatisfaction with the British rule and, dreamt of becoming a sovereign nation. And you find Irish separatists, splintered into major groups like Fenians, and who favored the use of the brute force, and the constitutional reformists who chose to follow a more moderate path within the confines of international law. So Michael Davitt and Charles Parnell were, famous separatists leaders of the 1800s, 70s, and 80s. So under Parnell's, leadership and with the support of the British Prime Minister, you find the Irish people hoped to finally establish home rule. But when it came out in 1891, that Parnell had engaged in an extramarital affair with Kittiosha, the wife of the member of the Irish Parliament. The Catholic Church, denounced Parnell, and he fell, from power, and he died only a year after. Um, and the Irish separatist movement, it lost the direction until erupting in the 1919 War of Independence. So you find this text was written between 1905 and 1914, and it was written at Dublin, and but it got published in 1916. So you find this text is a it talks about modernism, and uh, so coming to the different characters in this, you find the first character is Stephen Dedalus. Stephen Dedalus is an intelligent, sensitive, anxious and ill-tempered, boy growing up in an increasingly impoverished, Catholic household in Dublin. And you find in his long student years, Stephen passes through many discrete stages. So he matures from a shy, frail child with a magically, keen eye and ear and nose for the sensory details to a, studious, moody teenager, filled with vague, longing for love, fame, and worldly beauty. But when he, comes physically of age, he is anguished to discover that he cannot, reconcile his austere Catholic upbringing with his intense erotic desire, and you find his shame becomes, so great that he turns wholeheartedly to religion in search of spiritual peace. But even despite his many years of religious uh, observance, he comes to find the religious life and world view profoundly unsatisfying, shallow, illogical, and very boring. And you find Stephen seems to find peace, or um, only when he discovers his vocation and ambition as a writer. Then we have the next character is Emma Cleary. Emma Clary is a young woman about whom very little is revealed in the text, and Stephen, becomes infatuated with her after a party sometime during his summer at Black Rock, and you find he writes her a poem that night, and another poem, 10 years later. And you find throughout the book, you find she is his beloved object, his feminine idol, and Stephen's feelings for Emma are tender and romantic. So you find the memory of her serves as a constant reproach to his lust. So these, are the two important, major characters you find in this text, and then we have a number of minor characters Simon Dedalus. Simon Dedalus is Stephen's father and a joker and a merrymaker from Cork who supports the Irish nationalists, and Parnell distrusts the church, and he has held a string of different jobs in his lifetime, and as time goes on, and he finds it more and more difficult to support his large family. Then we have Mary de Dallas. Mary de Dallas is Stephen's mother, and a very modest and a retiring woman who struggles to keep the family afloat when they begin to struggle financially. So you find she is also a devout Catholic, and she disapproves of Stephen's studies at the university, and does her best to convince Stephen to be a good Catholic despite his artistic ambitions that he is having. Then the Dallas children, you find Stephen's 9 year older, 9 year younger siblings who appear, most often, sitting around the kitchen table, chatting and drinking tea, and it is implied that most of them do not receive some same advantage as Stephen receives. Then is Mrs. Riordan, is otherwise known as Dante, and she is Stephen's governess and a friend of the family. And Dante is, you find, is again a devout Catholic who fights bitterly with Simon and Mr. Casse about Parnell and the role of the Catholic Church, favoring the church. Then we have Mr. John Casse. John Casse is a friend of Simon's who shares Simon's pro Parnell nationalistic politics. And Uncle Charles is there. Uncle Charles is Stephen's, great uncle. And you find Stephen spends a large part of his summer at Black Rock listening to Uncle Charles' stories. Then we have Wells. Wells is a boy of Clongowes who pushes Stephens into a ditch, and Simon Moonen, and we have Tusker Boyle, who these are two boys in Stephen's years at Clongowes, and who gets caught engaging in some sexual activity with two older boys. So Athi is a boy of Clongowes who asks Stephen Riddle in the infirmary, and you have Brother Michael. Brother Michael is a kind of a gentle priest who tends to Stephen in the infirmary. Father Arnold is an ill-tempered Latin teacher, and you find he gives, guest lectures at Belvedere during the religious retreat, which inspires, which has inspired, and Stephen is, terrible guilt and of fear. So Father Dolan is the head teacher at Clongowes who gives Stephen an unjust beating for laziness, and Father uh, Conme. Conme is, you find, um, the kindly rector of Clongowes who takes, Stephen's side in his dispute with Father Dolan. And Mike Flynn is a retired athletic, trainer and friend of Simon's who coaches, Stephen in running during his summer in Black Rock. Um, Aubrey Mills, you find Stephen's friend during. Then we have Aubrey Mills, Stephen friends during his, summer in Black Rock. The Vincent heroine is, Stephen's closest friend at velvetry, rowdy, clever bully person, and we find Cranley. Cranley is Stephen's closest friend at the university, and an intellectual medical student who is, equal parts sincere and scornful. And Stephen, thinks of Canley as a sort of secular confessor. Then we have Davin. Davin is one of the Stephen's close friends at the university, and Davin, comes from the Irish countryside, and he is single-mindedly, devoted to his country. So you'll find in Stephen's life, he is, the voice of Irish patriotism. Temple is another character who's an intellectually ambitious, but you find awkward student at the university, and other students, constantly, mock him for his half-baked ideas. McCann is a politically engaged student who tries to, convince Stephen to sign a petition for the world peace. And Lynch is a philandering, friend of Stephen's, with a particularly crude sense of humor, and Stephen lectures him on aesthetic philosophy. So these are the, characters in a portrait of the artist as a young man. Am I clear to all of you? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So basically, we have in this we have around five chapters, and these chapters are again divided into different parts. Um, so, how many? Anyone of you who have read the text? No. Okay. Okay. So, just give me 1 minute. Yeah. So, so you find the novels, first scene, um, you find is shows that infant Stephen, listening to his father's nonsense fairy tale, and then Stephen's thought and memories, caring wildly for a woman that sells candy on the streets, to his mother's warm smell, and to his governess dentist brushes, and to his neighbor Alan. And you find in the next scene, an older Stephen is in his first year of school at Konglu's, and he is playing outside with the other boys, and longing for warmth and peace of study hall. So he wakes up a cold the next day, and spends some time in the infirmary, where he hears that the Irish nationalist Marnell has died. So then, a few months later, you find Stephen comes home for the winter holidays, and he listens to his family having a bitter argument about Cornell and the Catholic Church. And when he returns to school, he finds out his bewilderment that two of his classmates were caught doing something sexual with the upper class men, and a boy had broken his glass, and a teacher beats him unjustly during one of his classes for sitting out. So Stephen complains to the rector, who takes Stephen's side, and Stephen is cheered by his schoolmates, because he points out all these. Later, we rejoin Stephen some years later. He spends a summer in Black Rock, exploring the neighborhood with his friend Aubrey, and reading the Count of Monte Cristo, and restlessly wandering the streets. So soon, due to financial trouble, Stephen's family moves to Dublin, where Stephen becomes infatuated with a girl named Emma Clary, and they take the tram home together after a birthday party, and Stephen writes her a love poem. Then you find the book leaps over a few years once again, and now Stephen is an high achieving student at Belvedere, where he is known for his seriousness and studiousness. And you find he has been getting into a bit of trouble with teachers and friends for his faintly, essays that he is writing, and he quibbles with his friends, and plays the role of a pedantic teacher in a school play. And sometime later, you find Stephen, takes a melancholy trip to his father's hometown of Cork, during which he worries about his sexual longings, and his cold indifference to others, and even the end of his innocence. So at the end of the year, he is awarded a large sum of money for excellent academic performance, which brings him brief, contentment after he spends the money on friends and family. He becomes restless and unhappy once again, and you find he becomes more and more sexually frustrated. Despite the great fear and shame, he begins to have sex with the prostitutes. So later, then you find Stephen's, class participates in a 3-day religious retreat composed mainly of fire and brimstone lectures about sin, about hell, about sufferings, and this vivid, lectures render, Stephen's guilt unbearable, and he decides to confess his sins and live, purely and piously for now on. And Soon you find though Stephen's resolve begins to weaken, and he is beset by doubts. Just then, you find the director of Belvedere tells Stephen in a private meeting that he might be well suited for the priesthood. And then you find the director's flattering suggestion forces Stephen to make a decision, and Stephen realizes suddenly that he finds a priest's life is very repulsive and very boring, and turns joyfully away from the religious life. Instead, you find he applies for admission to the University of Dublin. And then one day you find as he walks on the shore, he realizes that his true calling is that of a writer, and he looks, at a lovely girl standing in the water and feels, overcome with joy. So in the next scene, we find Stephen is a very confident, well-respected student at the university, and he skips, many of his classes and spends most of his time walking around with his friends and holding, forth about aesthetics. So only his friend Cranley, can out talk him, and only Cranley seems immune to the musty charm of Stephen's strident theories. And Stephen, writes another poem for Emma, who still, consumes his thoughts in the book's final pages, which takes the form of the diary entries. And Stephen, writes joyfully about leaving Ireland to find his destiny as a writer. So you find this is all about uh, no, uh, text, the novel, a portrait of the artist as a young man. Now, I would open it for discussion. Yes. So I would like to know that what are your views about Stephen? What sort of a character, and why has Joyce tried to show Stephen as a from a student, from a young child to a student, and then you find, finding himself, getting into the university, educating himself, and then finally you see he finds a way, yes, you find in between, you find he is attracted towards females, and gets involved with prostitutes, and then you find finally he lands up as a writer. Yes. So how do you see such a character?
Sir, uh, Stephen, in this novel, or we can say the novel in itself, is a Bildungsroman and Kunstesroman. Like Bildungsroman is like an account where the novel traces the growth and the development of any character, like majorly the protagonist. And Kunstesroman is basically a novel where there is a character who is an artist, and the novel projects its character's development from the view of an artist only. So it's an artistical development, Kuntas romance. So, and I think this novel is an individualist struggle to come to terms with society, religion, and polity through his senses, like from through the senses of Stephen. But he realizes his artistic voice is taking over all the aspects of his life, like even his spiritual self, as he involves into the series of sins, like including gluttony and impurities like masturbation and going to the prostitutes. And he, in all his senses, tries to kind of restrict or abstain himself from the trio of sins, but gradually he learns that he failed in doing it and decides to live life up to its optimum and fullest. So, also, there is this one thing that the writer very calculatively gave the name Daedalus to the protagonist because it has a Greek mythology associated with it. Like there is a Greek myth story behind this name Daedalus, where there is this one demigod whose name was Daedalus, and king imprisoned the Daedalus, and as a matter of escape, he innovates and creates wings to himself and his son Icarus, another
So,
demigod.
Habiba, what are you relating this to?
Sir, I'm trying to relate this character as a revolt or surpassing the god. So I was just trying to gradually come to that point that he is trying to surpass the god and the conventions of religion, like the way Daedalus demigod tried to do in Greek mythology, like creating wings, because creation itself is an act which is
So,
only associated with God.
is the author, trying to speak about Greek mythology here?
No, no, no. Actually, not just directly talking about the Greek mythology, it is kind of overshadowing, like creating a little parallel so that even the readers have this like
Habiba,
clear
I
idea.
think that we can, you can put it when you are writing, because there are people here who might get confused with
Okay, okay, so
the
so
relation.
in short, I was just trying to say he is seen as a revolt in the novel, like as per me, and not just I mean, he's a revolt in creating a picture, a birdly picture in the last part of the novel, because creating is an act of which is only associated or kind of given to God only, and also this overly creative and innovative part, it is also associated with like God only, and he surpassed God through his like revolt against the conventions of religion and not protecting himself or abstaining oneself from the sins. So
Yeah.
he kind of deliberately given himself to sins and revolting against God. That I was trying to say.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Anyone else? Yes, Sanjita?
Yes, sir. The question is on the character of Stephen Dedalus,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes, yes.
Okay, so Stephen Dedalus comes from a family which is very politically and religiously they are inclined towards these. I mean these sections of society, like they are more into political and religious talks, and because in the novel they explains about it, the family is committed to those things, and quite normally this kid will also be forced to pursue something similar to that, but Stephen Dedalus realizes that it is not the path he want to pursue. He finds his purpose, his direction towards artistic pursuits. So this whole novel, we can see the difficulties that he faces in order to choose this path, because first, he decides, okay, I will go with priest. He thinks about moving to priesthood, but then we can see that he is not a hypocrite, because had he chosen that, it would have been wrong, because he clearly knew he has a very high desire for sensual beauty. So he understood that he cannot stick to priesthood. Morally, he cannot stick to it. So as a sensible character, he decided, okay, this is not my direction. I shouldn't choose this just in the name of security and making my family happy. Instead, I should choose the path that suits me. So here we can see how he discovered himself. It's this novel, we can see the self discovery of the character Stephen Dedalus becoming an artist. And
Yeah.
also, when he chooses this way, he realizes that he does feel, in the beginning, he feels guilty that he's moving away from his community and leaving Ireland. He's going to pursue his dreams. But later he'll realize that, okay, anyway, in the end of the novel, he has mentioned that his community will always be a part of him because his community has a very huge role in shaping his identity. So definitely, when he expresses his creativity and ideas, his community's voice is also being presented because in this novel
Represented,
also he
yes.
is representing it. So he understood this is my purpose and he saw this as his service to community. That's what I understood.
Okay. Prachi?
Yes, sir. I agree to Anjita. Like this point, I also wanted to say that though he realizes that he needs an isolation for his own reformations and like self development, but in this also, though as an artist he wanted desolate, he was an isolated figure, but his ultimate goal was to give voice to the very community that he is leaving, because that time that Irish he was criticizing this Irish society for forcing the country people to follow the same old traditional contemporary style that ways in which they were forced to follow those like you have to follow what people are doing and you cannot pursue something new. That was the thought which was like he couldn't take that, and that's why he decided to just leave and leave all this. But though after leaving also he had this frame that yes, I have to be a voice of many, because yes, people back there maybe they also want to follow something like this way. And also, sir, the novel also in the like the character of Stephen uh, shows somewhere the autobiography of Joyce himself. So for like it is a
That I told you from the very beginning.
yes, sir, yes, sir. So this was the like it was a development of Stephen during his formative years. So gradual, yes, this is a gradual development scene, development of a child to a artist. And sir, in this we can see also the language also like what I read, the language also becomes more refined as it goes towards the end. So like what he was
Okay.
writing
Yeah,
in his
yeah, we
diary.
will discuss that. We will discuss that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Alia, you have read the text, I suppose. You said that you have read. So, what is your view on it?
Sir, I have read only the summary. So,
Summary,
sir,
everyone. Yeah.
sir, what I have felt is, um, so there wasn't any external force which helped him, but only his inner thoughts and experiences which helped him to carve his own personality, and he decided his own path. He developed his own theories. He answered his classmates when they questioned him about art and everything else. So he has developed his own theory through his own experiences and thoughts. And I also feel that he was courageous and defensive also. He did not accept humiliation when uh, Father Dolan punished him. So he raised
Because
complaint
of his
against.
laziness.
Yes, yes. So so it was conceived as he was lazy, but due to some his because his glasses had broken, he could not read at that time. So he was considered to be as lazy, but in reality, it was something else. So he raised complaint against Father Dolan to his leader. It's called rector in the summary.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Correct.
So this shows he was courageous and defensive also.
So then it also shows that he has that leadership skills that he could he could the leadership skills, as well as he wanted to stand for something which is true.
Yes, sir. And the same happened when he joined university. He was able to answer many of his teachers' questions also.
Yeah. Sanjana, are you there today? Oh, okay, okay. Anyone else would like to, add from the audience? Anyone else? Okay. So, if we talk about the second character, that is, means the other character, that is um, um, Emma Cleary. So Emma Cleary, um, how the involvement of Stephen was important with Emma Cleary. How the author has tried to show that.
Emma is the symbol of pure love in this whole novel because he fell for her in the beginning when he was growing up. He see her as the symbol of feminine beauty. That's why he wrote a poem to her. And even towards the end, also he mentions about her. That shows he worships her. He doesn't see her as a sexual object.
Hmm. Okay.
And yes, even Emma makes him realize that he has a love towards aesthetics.
Yeah, yeah. That is important. Yes.
Yeah, because she's the
Habiba?
one who made him write the poem first.
Correct, correct. Habiba?
Yes, sir. I'm not much acquainted with Emma's character, but this much I know that she's the gateway to the aesthetic
Okay,
part of
because
Stephen's
because
brain.
you were speaking, about, you know, the uh, uh, relating to the history of this thing.
Yes, sir.
How would you interpret, the death of Panal in the, was it very important in the text?
Sir, I have not read the text. I have read the summary only.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Yes, sir.
who else could answer? Yes. Alia, Prachi, Parnell's death,
Sir,
how important was it in the novel? And why it has been said, so many times about Parnell?
sir, it is during the Christmas dinner. The family was discussing about Parnell's death, and there they discussed how he should be punished or he shouldn't be punished. So there was a difference in opinions of the people who were having dinner over at the Christmas Eve.
Yeah, but my question is, why was it so important to talk about Parnell? Prachi, Anjita?
I think Parnell is opposite to the Catholic Church, right? So I think
Mhm.
that is why Parnell has an importance because he feels like he should be more devout towards Catholicism. Because Catholic Church, they clearly say Catholic Church is the reason Parnell died,
And
and
yeah, yeah,
Sir, I have something to say, sir. Sir, I just read one point, like
yes.
maybe it could get associated with it. Sir, Parnell was secretively was uh, uh, someone saw him, or this news leaked out that he was into adultery or something. So
Yes, he was. He
yes,
was.
yes. So this news was like a talk of the town. So maybe we can associate this with the adultery of Stephen Sir, because this topic,
That is not
religion and
important, Habiba. That is not important. The important is, why my question is, why the author gave that much importance to, uh, yes, Nai, you have written correct, correct. So Nai has written, sorry, I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Um he was, we are talking about the Irish movement. From the very beginning I've been talking about the Irish movement. Anjita, Habiba, are you getting me?
Yes, sir. Understood. And
Yeah,
I think even this two people, this Stephen is also comparing himself also, right? I think he's comparing himself also because Parnell also
yes,
got into
yes,
an affair. This
yeah.
Stephen also got into this prostitution and also
adultery.
maybe
Yeah,
he is feeling that
Unlike
Parnell's
Habiba.
character has some sort of similarity.
yes.
Hmm.
A little parallel could be drawn from Parnell's character to the Stephen's character.
Yeah, yeah. Prachi would like to add something. I saw you. Yeah.
Sir, they were aware of the disparity between the church and the state in then existing Ireland. So
Hmm.
mainly this point which this person Nai Dunya projected, same was a thing. Like he was some kind of Irish leader there, and so that's why it was so important to project, because mainly this whole novel is revolving around this contempt of kind of those Irish thoughts and everything, like bringing out a revolution against
Yeah,
those things.
yeah,
So he
yeah.
plays an important role there. So what I connect, sir.
Correct, correct. Um, um, so, can we
There
say
also
that?
there has always been a conflict between the church and the conventions of religion versus the society of the modernists.
Yeah, that's what I said now, that
Yes,
disparity between the church and the state in Ireland.
yes,
So
yes.
they both have,
Yeah, yeah. So, can we say that then? Can we, if you get a question, say, um, that this novel is an autobiographical novel, how would you prove your answer?
Because James Joyce is also Irish, right? So we can compare that with this and make the points accordingly. Because even
Yes.
he grew up to be an artist,
Mm-hmm.
same background, similar background.
Sanjana is writing about stream of consciousness. Yeah. So basically, if we are talking about autobiographical novels, so we find Joyce imbues Stephen's world into most with some of the autobiographical elements. The novel, as a whole, is not a direct representation of Joyce's own life or experiences, but Stephen, you find, is a fictional character whose personal, or we can say the artistic journey, merely draws inspiration from Joyce's. And then the trajectory of Stephen's education, may, parallel Joyce's attendance at the Woods College. And you find the majority of the actual events that has transpired into the novel as a product of Joyce's imagination. So you find this you can relate to this while writing your answer.
Did James Joyce get his education from Woods College?
It's written. Yes, means he could. That is why he has mentioned about that. But Joyce, you're talking about the author's education.
Yes, sir.
Joyce, just a minute. I am not sure about that.
Sir Joyce's father was also not much inept with financial stability, and in the novel, Stephen's father was
Yeah, yeah, he was.
also, yes, he was also not
Joyce's
very
was
financial.
also.
Yes, sir.
Joyce's were also from the same Woods College.
Yes, sir. Also, sir, he did not return to Clonguvis,
Yeah, yeah,
like the way Stephen couldn't return.
correct.
And also, sir, this Christmas dinner scene and this Stephen's first sexual experience in the
Mhm.
like with the prostitutes in Dublin, that is
Yeah.
also related to his personal life, Joyce's personal life.
Yes, yes,
So
yes.
he brings those, like he the novel is fictional, but the like most powerful moments are autobiographical, which you say na, like there is a term called epiphanic moments. So
Yeah, yeah. Epiphany.
Yes, so
those
given.
are the
Yes.
linkage with Joy's life and Stephen's life.
Okay. So you find,
So one more point is
the
there.
role, what role, does the epiphanies play in the novel?
So they are like what to say? We see something happens and suddenly something relates to it, and a progression of a character takes place. Like immediate action and reaction, you can say. Which if like a small event happens and
Could you,
The
it
I,
overflow of emotions within the
yeah, that
character, which is
something happens and
mirroring the
affects
audience
you,
that what
and
is.
then you
no,
start doing.
please, Prachi, Habiba, 1 minute. This is what I really don't like. If one is speaking, please, other can wait till the other finishes. Habiba, please. Yes, yes, Prachi.
So, like this one only, like some event happens, it affects you, and then you immediately gain something out of it, and you project yourself, or you like your consciousness makes you do something. That is those are epiphanic moments.
Okay. Yes, Habiba, you now you can say.
Yes, sir. So I was saying, epiphanic moments are usually the overflow or the flood of emotions within the character. If something is happening outside, so some reaction has to take place within the brain or the head of the character. So it is kind of mirroring the character's brain or giving a platform to the readers to peep into the character's brain.
Okay. So you find, throughout, the novel, Joyce, you find explores the concept of epiphany and the way in which, epiphanies have the power to reveal the world's truths. So when we talk about the word epiphany, which may historically carry a religious connotation, but Joyce often presents secular epiphanies or even false epiphanies, realizations that ultimately are untrue. And you find in portrait epiphanies facilitate Stephen's personal and artistic development, because we have been seeing that. And they often appear near the when we read the chapters, it appears to the end of the chapters, providing Stephen with a sense of triumph. So Joyce often devalues these high points as the beginning of the new chapter, and to suggest that the universe can never be fully understood. Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So What is the significance of this name, Stephen? Just give me a moment. Just think about this question. I'll come back. Just give me 1 minute. Yes. Yeah, my question was, how do you see this as a character?
I think he has used it as an allusion, like indirectly presenting the two options in front of him, in front of this protagonist, Stephen and Daedalus. Like
Mm-hmm.
Stephen is the name of a saint, and Daedalus is the mythical Greek mythological character that chose to fly, like fly near the sun, fly towards the sun, and the wing gets melted. So it's his choice. Either he should go for priesthood, or he should go for artistic pursuit. But here it's like eventually he chooses the path of Daedalus, like where he wants to pursue his artistic dreams.
But Anjita, you couldn't relate to my question that I asked. My question was, the name, how it is important. What is the how the Stephen Dedalus name is important?
Yeah,
So the
I think
Yes.
that's what I meant to say. Like, Stephen is is a saint's name. Daedalus is a mythical
Yes.
character. So it's like two options in his life. Stephen means going towards religion. Daedalus means
Yeah.
pursuing
Okay,
his
you
dream.
said that. Okay, okay. I
Yeah.
didn't listen. Okay. Yeah, yeah. Anyone else?
uh, Anjita, can you please explain a little bit about this names, just the Stephen, because I am not familiar with Stephen
Nine
being
Dunya has written, yes. In
with
the
a saint.
Yes, yes,
I
yes.
only know about the deadless thing. So can you please explain a bit if you know?
Yeah, there isn't much explanation. He's a saint. It's a name of a saint, like Joseph, Thomas, and all. So, I mean, as she has mentioned in the message, he's the first Christian martyr. So it's a religious name, whereas Daedalus is a Greek mythological name. And even in literature, you can see Greek mythologies are usually pagan kind of things, but whereas really Catholic things, like in English literature, you can see Catholic elements are there. So Stephen and Daedalus are like, one is very religious name, and one is like related to Greek mythology. So it's like two ways in front of him. One is towards religion, and the other is towards artistic pursuits. So it's a struggle which one to choose.
Okay, thank you.
You're
Yeah.
welcome.
So, Prachi, you'd like to add something?
No, sir. Like I agree with Anjita what she says. Both the names are the choices which is presented by the author, because both the things were in the mind, and it's up to him what he chooses. But the thing is that like this Daedalus being a brilliant artificial fisher, but he made those wings and he flew and flew. But the thing is that you should know where to stop. It's kind of that representation.
Okay, if there is a question like, if an annotation is given, please see there. I've given the text. How would you explain this? Please think. Think 2 minutes and then answer. Just don't jump answering. How important these lines are, and how would you explain? I've taken these lines from chapter 1. Yeah. However, can we start from you?
Sorry, sir.
I said, can we start from you?
Sure, sir. Sir, in these lines, like Stephen Dedalus is my name, okay, we can just draw out the versus thing as Anjita said, like Stephen being the saint and Dedalus being this mythological character associated with defiance, right? So Ireland is my nation, okay, we accept it. Okay, Ireland is his nation, and he has certain responsibility towards his nation. Also, I don't agree with the last line and having my expectation because uh, he is so much into, or he's under the mountain of sins. He's into gluttony and adultery and whatnot. So how can he expect heaven while getting involved into all these things? So I'm just critical of this last line. Otherwise, I agree with these three lines, and I have a good explanation to this, as we have discussed earlier also, like Clongevis being his dwelling place, where he's kind of exploring a lot of things and he's using all his senses and experiences to kind of build his character and mindset and his artistic purview, and Ireland being his nation, and still he is not uh, towards the fight for the nation. He's not doing anything to kind of bring positive changes towards the nation by being uh, like, I don't know how to explain this, but he's not using himself for the betterment of the nation or the society around us. Like the name thing we have already discussed. So last line, I'm just critical of this thing.
Okay. Namchi, yes.
Yeah, I'd just like to add that this is from the first chapter. So he's still a child, he's still a boy in Congress, and yeah, I mean, he's still in that developing stage, so you can't expect him to do much for his nation, nor has he done, I mean, has he sinned or anything so far.
Yeah, he's a child right now. Okay. Anjita, would you like to add? Molshri Singh has written.
I think these lines are to denote his that something regarding Irish nationality, because he's saying Ireland is my nation. So that time Ireland, majority of the Irish people were Catholics, and they wanted Irish independence also, to be a free country rather than be under Britain. And that beginning he says Stephen Dedalus is my name. Maybe that represents that he doesn't want to take any sides. Maybe he's not choosing any sides of it, because in university also he had so many discussions with his friends regarding this. So I think it's something related to Irish nationality also.
Okay, many of them have put their their views on the chat box. Um, I think we can go through the chat box first.
We have a very good explanation from Sanjana's side for the last line, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, I also see that. Yeah. So a very, very strong, support to the line, what Sanjana has written.
Sir, may I?
Yes, yes, please.
Sir, can't we take it as a simple context? Like if a child is writing, he
Mhm.
is just telling that my name is this, I come from this place, this is my patriotism towards my country. This Klongovs is my dwelling. I mean, yes,
Rachi,
I,
sorry to interrupt. Sorry to interrupt. But just think, a child,
yes,
saying that patriotism,
right, sir.
a child's mind, and being a child, if you say today's children, how much, if you ask what would you like to do for the country, uh, patriotism that is not developed in a child.
But sir, like their
Yeah,
father and mother were always talking about this politics and like nation and politics and all. So maybe little bit thoughts maybe influenced. If like what I feel, it's a simple, like very high thoughts. Not accounting to very high thoughts, but simple, like my name is this, I come from this place, and yes, my dwelling is from a very small place where like things are very contemporary, very conventional, but I desire for sky, like I desire to fly. I have many thoughts, many aspirations. I just want to reach those heights of my desires. Can we, like, very simple meaning
yeah,
types?
yeah, 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 yeah. Your explanation, it is not contradicting any thing like what you are saying.
Okay, sir. So because as a child, how okay, fine, I can take one aspect that author wants to represent something through this name or something through this with a very high thoughts. But if we take, like, it starts in the it is in the starting of the chapter, so that time that child is like he doesn't have a form, he is still to be formed, so very very young, very what do you say, um,
Fragile.
very yes,
Very
I
young
mean,
at mind,
very
not
raw thoughts,
completely.
sir. They are not accomplished ones, they are just starting thoughts. This, yes, I have, though I come from a very small place with people are not thinking about this, but I have a thought, I do aspire for things, and maybe for a priest, maybe for a poet, or maybe for an author. I just hope I should rise. I should rise
So
and
by
touch the
then he
sky.
was not sure that what he is going to do.
By then, yes, sir. But only thing, he is having some mind thoughts that yes, he has to do something very good, very and has to rise. Like what I feel. Simple lines, simple thoughts.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Anybody else? Alia, why are you quiet today? You are not, participating in the class today. Alia, are you there?
Yes, sir, I'm here, sir.
Yeah, you are not participating in the class today. Okay. Anyone else who would like to, explain?
I think Sanjana's explanation really makes sense because I was
Yes,
repeatedly
yes.
going through her explanation, and then even
Mm.
I realized, because even I was trying to understand in the end, and heaven is my expectation. That was very confusing. And then when I went through her answer, I understood. Yes, the first three lines shows his pride in his nationality, Irish nationality, whereas in the end he flees Ireland. So that shows he's not leaving because he's against his community. He's leaving because his aspirations are that high. Like spirit, his artistic aspirations are what is calling him. That's why he's given and heaven my expectation. And yes, her explanation really makes sense. Now I got it. Thank you, Sanjana.
Yes, it's a very, very nice explanation.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll give you one more.
Sir,
Yeah.
can it be simplified also as owing to his Catholic background, wherein as Catholics or as Christians, we.
Namchi, you need to keep in mind that who is writing this?
Yes, sir, but it portrays a small child as well.
Yes, yes, yes. So how would you, relate to your, point?
Because I mean, we are obviously as Christians or whatever, we are brought up in that mindset from small that we will be attaining heaven and all that stuff. So one, I mean, is that what it means, the last line, to have to attain heaven?
So you're
uh,
talking about
a rather simplistic
the, the Christian belief.
interpretation.
You're talking about the Christian belief.
Yes, sir.
Uh,
Because as a
okay.
child, I don't think he would have had much, like what they've said, that very high thoughts about, about what he, about his ambitions and what he aims to be as when he grows up.
Damchi, can you please explain your point a little more? I'm not understanding it.
No, no,
As
she is talking about, okay, let me tell you. So she is talking about, the Christian, the religious belief, at the end, one would like to, attain moksha, that is, go to heaven, after all the deeds. That is what you are trying to say, Namchi, right?
yes, sir, that as Christians, I mean, sort of an expectation that we will attain heaven.
Heaven, yeah, yeah.
Sir, actually, I have some other understanding of these lines.
Yes, yes.
So there are many instances in the novel in which it has been portrayed that he considers himself, he relates himself to the Greek mythology, and if we go through these lines, and heaven, my expectation. So here also, I feel that he is relating himself to the Greek character Daedalus. So I am in some other mode only.
But do you think as a child he is referring that?
He could be, sir, because there are many instances in the story, in the novel, sorry, in the novel, which there are points at which he remember he is trying to relate himself to that character. So I am doubting myself that my understanding maybe in if my understanding is in that direction. So he's relating himself to that character.
Uh, okay, but you say personally I feel that what we discussed is was more I find it more factual than what you are saying.
Yes, sir. So I am
No,
also in
see, I will not
dilemma.
tell that that is wrong, but then you can explain what how you are interpreting it.
Yes, sir. So I am in dilemma whether to go with this my understanding or what Sanjana has stated here.
No, it's not about what Sanjana has said, but then it is about you know uh, uh, we have been discussing about it, and I also feel that what Sanjana has written, I agree to that.
But my perception is different from
Yeah, yeah,
what
yeah.
has been
See,
said.
Alia, I told you from the very beginning when we started that perception might differ. You might, agree. You might not agree. But that's not very clear in the text you find. But then it is your, way of your analysis that you do. You
Yes, sir.
you relate it to the Greek mythology and you write. Yes,
Okay,
Prachi.
sir.
Sir, but while writing an answer, what to present as per a teacher's view, we should follow that
No,
Sanjana
no, it's
thing.
not. It is not about teacher's view. Prachi, are you from a English literature background?
Yes, sir. Like I did my graduation, then my post graduation was in political science and economics. Then I am pursuing this literature.
No, no, you did your English BA.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you must have written answers, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So,
So
But
that's the
when
fun of literature. We have multiple layers and understandings and interpretations. And
correct.
we can write if we have four interpretations, we can write four interpretations, but one interpretation has to be from the perspective of some critique. Other than we can
okay,
write non-critical interpretations. One should be
Yeah.
from a name, like T.S. Eliot has said
Who
something,
has
or
who has said
Derek
yes?
Walcott. Yeah. One has to
Quoting
be
somebody,
from a
that's
writer.
important.
Yeah. And the other three or two could be like your own perceptions or interpretations.
Okay, I have given one more, few lines from the text. You say, how do you find these lines to be important? How effective these lines are? Please think 2 minutes and then we can discuss. Yeah, Anjita, you can yeah, you can give your feedback here.
Yes, sir. So I think you're trying to show the stream of consciousness narrative technique that James Joyce has used here.
Yes.
Because when the thought process is directly given like this, we are directly dwelling inside the mind of Stephen Dedalus rather than presenting it as an instance. It's like we are directly reading his thought. Like, should I do this? Should I do that? The confusion in the character's mind. It's very easy for the reader to understand the confusion going inside the character's mind, the protagonist's mind.
Yeah. Yeah. Any other interpretations? Yes, Habiba.
Sir, we can relate this excerpt with the sickness, not just the bodily sickness, but the sickness of mind. Because I am judging this novel and this character from the lens of religion. Like digressing from religion means you're revolting against God. So this sickness could not just be about the bodily sickness, but also the sickness of mind. That you're not
Okay.
healthy because you're not conforming or obeying the rules or conventions of religion, and you're not obeying God.
Okay. Yes, that is another perspective. Correct. Okay. Yes. Anyone else? Namchi?
Sir, what I have deduced from these lines is that he was feeling homesick and he wanted to go to his own environment where he would be able to express himself freely, roam about freely. Here in the school, when he was sick, so he was bound to the laws and rules of the school. He had to follow the rules.
No, but that is, but why do you, how would you support your answers? Where has he written that?
So it was when he was thrown into the drain and
Hmm.
he caught cold.
Yeah. Do you think that he didn't enjoy being there?
So in the initial days, he wasn't comfortable with his school. Initially, he wasn't that much comfortable. It was gradually only he developed interest in his school.
Okay. Namchi?
Yes, I think he was bullied, so perhaps, like what they said, he was a little homesick as well.
Prachi?
Sir, as we see, he's just in school and he's young. He's a child still. He's not so much.
Yes.
Uh,
One thing is, yes, Sanjana has also written the childhood innocence
right,
is the
sir.
first
Right.
thing
So,
that
like,
we have to
uh,
remember. Yeah.
yes, sir, because he's too young to face the aggressive and disturbing things in the world. And for him also, the like environment there was very new. And in that, missing your mother and father is but obvious thing. So might be just a simple thing that mama come home and take me. Just I want to be with you. That relaxing and that touch of a mother, it's kind of that a little pain of missing home is there.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyone else? This is also from take this. This is also taken from chapter one. So still a small boy and you know is means in his growing stage. So yeah, anyone else would like to interpret this. Okay. Okay. So, Nai Dunya. Okay. These lines show his strong and deep longingness to be comforted and cared for by his mother while he is sick. His simple request highlights his loneliness of the theme of isolation and need for love and support. Isolation.
Sir, but till now there was till the time he wrote this thing, there a theme of isolation?
That is what I am also.
Because up till that time he was not in a frame that I have to do something with, I have to isolate, I have to leave all this and
Yeah,
go in
yeah,
search
yeah.
of my
Could
own
you
thing.
please? Uh, I don't know. The name is Nai Dunya. Yes. Could you please, highlight about, what you have written? Means the theme of isolation. Means how. What are you referring this to? Theme of isolation to what?
Sir, we can relate to this with that movie. That what is that movie? That Ishan movie.
We can say isolation
Ishan
and
Avasthi was
rejection.
sent to.
Uh,
Uh,
you find in the text, from birth to adolescence, you find the protagonist of the story, that is Stephen, responds to his experiences throughout life without action of rejection and isolation. He When he talks about, he rebels against his environment and isolates himself in the school work, family, religion, his art. And Joyce uses Stephen's responses of isolation and rejection to illustrate the journey that the artist must take to achieve adulthood. Otherwise, it said the artist should, um, be in such a state, should keep away himself to achieve, to become an artist.
But sir, would the theme of isolation be applicable here?
No, to this, no, no, I'm not talking about to this specific question, of course. It is his or the person's interpretation. But here means we were talking about the theme of isolation and, how it is reflecting in the novel. Yes, Anjita.
So I think the last point that Sanjana has mentioned, that has a very huge importance, because here it's a chapter one, and here it shows the perception of a small little boy. Here
Hmm.
he is asking to take him home. The same Stephen Dedalus, in the end of the novel, he is planning to flee Ireland totally. So yes, that contrast is there, from the young Stephen Dedalus to the later development.
Yes, yes, yeah, correct.
So this contrast can also be drawn in the previous excerpt which you had shared earlier, where
Yeah.
there is this line, "Ireland is my nation." So if it is for your nation, then why were you planning to flee? So it is a high contrast there.
Yeah, because then he was a child. he didn't know
It
much
was a
about
strong
the
pull.
world. Yeah.
It was a strong pull from the side of his family and his society,
Hmm.
which he was trying to resist, and he did successfully resist in the end.
Yeah.
And sir, also as a child, you don't have this frame of mind that I will leave the country and go. For them, like for a child, it is I live here, it is my place, and it is my home. How can I leave? But in later, when he leaves, that contrast is like contrast to later development, as she writes. It's fine. It's totally agreeing.
Yes. Yes. Coming to the so what are the themes that you find in the text?
Self discovery.
Self discovery. Yeah. Okay. What else? Would you be more little specific to self discovery, or
Yes, sir, because in the beginning, Stephen Dedalus was a young boy who did not know what he wants to pursue in life. But later on, slowly, while he is growing up, he realizes his love and desire for sensual beauty, and writing is his direction of life. This is my purpose. That realization happens gradually. So, this is the story of Stephen Dedalus' self discovery of his purpose.
or we make it more specific and more clear, saying that it is the role of the artist.
Also, we can specifically talk about when we're talking about self-discovery or Bildungsroman in general. We can specifically talk about
Abhibha, you're not
religion.
audible properly. It's I don't know. You're not audible.
Uh, okay, sir.
Yeah.
Sir,
Like keep your mouthpiece a little away from because it's
okay, sir.
yeah.
Sir, when we are talking about the self-discovery or Bildungsroman in general, in the context of this novel, so we can specifically talk about religion or simply just the conflict or struggle which Stephen Dedalus is going through between three aspects of his life: A, being religion; B, being nationality; C, being freedom.
One is nationality, one is freedom.
Nationality,
Okay.
religion, and freedom.
Okay. Yes. Yes. So what I was telling is, being little specific to, if we talk about the role of the artist, so we see that a portrait of the artist as a young man, explores what it means to become an artist, and Stephen's decision at the end of the novel, to leave his family and friends and behind, and go into exile in order to become an artist. Yeah, this suggests that Joyce sees the artist as a necessarily isolated figure, isolation. And in his decision, you find Stephen turns his back on his community, refusing to accept the constraints of the political involvement, the religious devotion, and the family commitment that community places on its members. But you see, though the artist is an isolated figure, Stephen's ultimate goal is to give a voice to the very community that he is leaving. And in his last few lines, you see in the novel, Stephen expresses his desire to forge in the smithy of my soul the uncreated conscience of my race. I'll put this just a minute. So you find he recognizes that his community will always be a part of him, as it created and has shaped his identity. And when he creatively expresses his own ideas, you find he will also convey the voice of his entire community, even as Stephen turns his back on the traditional forms of participation and membership in a community. He envisions his writings as a service to the community. Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So we can also say, the theme of, you know, uh, the Irish movement, don't you think?
Yes, sir. That has influenced Stephen Dedalus a lot because while
Yeah,
he was growing up, he saw his family so obsessed with politics and religion, and he is completely different from his family who is moving towards arts. So, definitely, that has placed a huge restriction. It has pulled his mind back from pursuing arts.
yeah, 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 yeah. So you find the politics which has, which Stephen constantly ponders, Ireland place in the world, and he concludes, that Irish have always been an, subservient people, and allowing, outsiders to control them. And in his conversation also with the dean of the studies at the university, he realizes that even the language of the Irish people really belong to the English. And Stephen, perception of Ireland's has two effects on his development as an artist. First, it makes him determined to the escape the bond, and that Irish ancestors have accepted. And we see in his conversation with Devin, Stephen, feels an anxious need to emerge from his Irish heritage as his own person, free from the shackles that have traditionally confined his country. So we find, where he says, do you fancy I am going to pay in my own life and person debts they made? And second, you find Stephen's perception, which makes him determined to use his art to reclaim autonomy for Ireland. So using the borrowed language of English, he plans to write in a style that will be both autonomous from England and true to the Irish people. Theme of religion is also there. Yes, correct. Religious extremism. You find individuals' consciousness. You find which is also shown in the text.
But, sir, where is the extremism in the novel? I mean, the things which he is seen to be doing and committing, they are like the black spots on morality. Okay, even if we ignore gluttony, okay, it's a very minor thing to do, but what about adultery? Isn't it going against the moral conventions? Like, there is no extremism, like, they are the basics.
Mhm. But you
Like,
find you find when yeah, there are pitfalls, of course, with the religious extremism.
So I think Stephen Dedalus was a person who was living in extremities because on one side he was attending mass every single day, and he was like thinking about moving to priesthood. On the other side, he is in the pitfall of sin. He is going with prostitutes. So being in an age like that, I think these are two extremes that an adolescent can commit.
Yeah,
So
yes.
we cannot ignore that when we are getting towards teenage, there are some hormonal changes which cannot be restricted through religion or new ideas or something like that. People may feel
Yeah, that's a very good point, Prachi.
that
Yes.
you cannot like being so young. Every time you cannot decide this is correct or this is wrong. I should not do this. My religion doesn't. Sometimes it just happen. That is a hormonal thing.
And you see that he realizes that later. You know,
Yes, sir. Once
going
that
with the
consciousness
prostitutes
awakes,
and all,
then
he realizes, then he restricts himself.
right. So
So
throughout the
these
place, sorry. You may continue, Alia.
so these instances also helped in development of his identity, his personality.
Yes, 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 Prachi, yes.
So, like I was saying, theme of religion. This religion thing is like revolving around everywhere. In the initial time, he was against this religion. He was delusioned by the thoughts of this religion and family and country, and he just wanted get rid of this and like he was not um, following this religion thing, but gradually this religion plays an important role in making him understand his own identity, his own virtues, moralities, and later on developing those skills which he does, like those adultery things, and he does realize that something was wrong, and he went to the church and confesses. So every time religion was somewhere or the other, brackets were there which he was following.
Yeah, yeah.
Sir,
Yes, sir.
one thing that I noticed was he never practiced religion. He was just simply attending sermons. Like he was not a practitioner of religion, because if once he had to started following the religion,
But then,
I mean,
Habiba, one thing
he was
you
just
were saying
merely
that,
attending sermons.
yeah, but then that means he was believing. He was believing the religion. He was attending the service. That doesn't mean that he was he didn't believe and he was forcefully doing it.
Or maybe, sir, we can say he was just doing the theory part in just believing, and when it comes to the practical, he was doing the adultery.
See that we see in if today's scenario. If you see people, for example, here people who might be talking to you very nicely, you find them there in they will be such religious people. They will be very you talk about these babas who are being caught because of adultery. Think how religious they are, how many followers they have, but you find them, getting involved in adultery. So what about them?
Sir, but also one thing, that religion and this spirituality, everything related to this is also a personal choice, how you want to
Yeah,
follow.
yeah, exactly, exactly.
How it is not necessary that you every time you go with a candle and you sit there and pray. You can be anywhere, and just having that belief in your religion is also following a religion.
See, I will tell you one thing. So for just for instance, I'll tell you, I haven't gone to the temple for the last, I think so 6 7 months. I haven't gone to any temple for the last 6 7 months. That doesn't mean that I am against any religion, or I'm not following God, or I'm not I don't have belief in God. So it differs from individual to individual.
Uh, so that is a modernist perspective, but when we take into account the scenario when this novel was written, so it was from the perspective when we see religion, or when we kind of dissect this novel from the lens of religion. So it has to be from the Catholic point of view, because it is mentioned there in the novel only. So cat they have they had this very strong and affirming belief that if you believe in God, you have to submit yourself to the God. Or submitting yourself to the God means you have to conform and obey to the conventions and commandments of the God. So, which he is lacking. That's what I'm saying. So, if we can try to relate it to the modern perspective, that is again an individualistic approach. But if we were to dissect this novel from the Catholic perspective, so this is what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
then but you didn't mention that it was, you are talking on the on perspective of the Catholic
Yes, right.
belief system.
That was my bad.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so I think today, I find today's discussion was more, fine tuned than the previous discussions.
So gradually we are becoming an artist.
Yeah. So I think for today we can keep it here, because I have to actually leave. I'm out somewhere, so I have to leave. And for tomorrow and day after tomorrow, we are not having any class. I think one more class is there, that is on Thursday. Am I right?
Yes, sir. And
Yeah.
sir, we are left with two more units. So are we going to cover both the units in the
No,
same
no,
class?
we are only doing till block 8. Block 9, you have to do it. You have to study of yourself.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So we
Okay
have
then.
class on Thursday then.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Tomorrow and day after, I'm not available. I'm traveling.
At
So
what time, sir? Same
Thursday,
6.
same in the evening.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Okay. Thank you, all of you. Thank you. Yes, Shelly, you have something to ask?
Sir, just wanted to know where can I see your recorded block 8 recording?
There's no recorded sessions for the students.
Okay, sir.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, yeah. You're welcome.
Uh, Sir,
Yeah.
it is a holiday on Thursday, so can we have class on in the morning on
What
Thursday?
holiday it is?
It's Valmiki Jayanti.
No, we don't have a holiday here. I have a
Okay.
university, class. We are
Okay, no.
actually reopening here after pujas on 17th. So
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
yeah, yeah,
No
yeah.
problem.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, all of you. Good night.
Thank you, sir. Good night.